All right, there's the tiny URL. I just put it into. All right, well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the MISchoolData Professional Development Network. Today, our webinar is Exploring Career Technical Education, Workforce, and Post-Secondary Data. I am a trainer on behalf of the professional development team, along with my colleague, Dr. Jennifer Parker. We also have colleagues that have helped with the professional development toolkit, Kathy Miller from Shiawassee RESD, Christina Martin from Macomb ISD, and Dr. Lisa Lockman from Westford Missaukee ISD. We represent the ISD leadership team. We also want to recognize our regional advisory folks. These are designated regional advisory members that represent 5 regions in the state. These regions were established back in the 2012-13 school year under the TRIG grant. And these leads, you have 2 in each region. Hopefully by the end of today's broadcast, you will know what region you are located in. And these are your resources to reach out at any time that you need additional resources or training based on needs for the MISchoolData portal, especially during these redesign phases as we are continuing to provide teaching and learning opportunities. So today, our focus is going to be on the CTE, post-secondary ed and workforce area. We hope at the end of this session, you will know the contents and navigation within the MISchoolData portal. We're going to take you through many menus and examples. Also, to understand how to access the data that's made available in these particular areas of the portal, allow you to make connections for data-driven dialogue back at your local level, and then how you can transfer the learning from today into local planning, improvement, and implementation with your district or with your colleagues in various departments at the ISD. So we're going to begin with defining the MISchoolData overview. First of all, this is the MISchoolData portal, is the source for pre-K-12, K-12, post-secondary, and workforce data. That is what the whole portal really evolves around, basically starting at the preschool level. There are multiple levels and views for statewide, ISDs, and college level information that's available. And the data is coming from a variety of sources. Many of those are reports that begin at your building level or your district level, such as the financial information database, the EEM, the graduation reports, the MSDS, et cetera, all of our acronyms, but that's really where the data is coming from. And then we also can present this data once it's received at CEPI. It's presented in graphs, charts, trend lines. You have downloadable access to files. And then in the end, you can make connections with this data to initiatives that you have going on at the local level, at the county level, utilizing your school improvement process with the MyKIP, as well as the My Data Hub and local data warehouses. So where does the data come from? I just talked a little bit about this. Basically, it stems from your schoolhouse, and then with various levels of user permissions, you're able to access this data based on what your role and responsibility is back at your district. So we'll talk more about that later. So when we look at the P20 connections, it's really starting in preschool. It's that career to college or cradle to career. The PK20 data connections, starting with birth, you're issued a UIC number and it follows you for eternity. So up the path, you will have the same UIC number and all of that data will follow you along the way. So looking at CEPI's post-secondary collection and reporting activities, again, it starts with the SLDS from early childhood to workforce. It moves from the various entities such as CEPI, the NCS, it moves out to the state of Michigan, MISchoolData, MyKIP, wherever that lands in the process of what's applicable to that particular data. So with various levels of use on the portal, when it drills down to student level data, you will need, you will be identified as a role and be granted permissions. So we have two sectors of the site that's available, public and secure. On the public side, you can pretty much see about 95% of the data without a login. However, on the secure site, when you get to that student level data, you're going to be required a login, and that will be granted based on the permissions that are applicable to you in your work in the pre-K-12 setting. So first of all, to create a login, over the summer we had a migration process. We're now beyond that window. So as a user, if you are new in the CTE field or in your role, you will need to create a My Login third-party account. You have to do that on your own. That is not anything that your district will give you. Here's your login and change your password. You have to go out and do this on your own. And here's the website. The link is in the slide deck, My Login for third party. And then you want to select that you're in the MISchoolData. That's the access that you're hoping to achieve. Next is the access and support. If you look over, you're going to have to complete a FERPA compliance form. That's with any requirement with accessing student level data. But also to the right here, we have a snapshot of contacts that are available at the ISD level. Please notice that for our technical contact, that would be your go-to person at the ISD, and they can provide you with account activation and take you through those next steps. It used to be before that they could change, reset your password and such. You need to go through a different process now with the My Third Party login. Next, we have what permissions will be granted. So this is just showing you a snapshot of the form, what ISD or district, all schools, what levels you'll have access to. If you're a curriculum director or a CTE person, you may only have access to maybe high school data. This is all determined based on that roles and permissions. And then once to the right, you'll notice that we have indicated here, green bar around indicates student pathways with sensitive information. If you do not have that permission turned on, you will not be able to see this information as it relates to post-secondary data as we move through today. So I'm going to take you through now a quick review of program connections. I know many of you may be new users to the redesigned site. So what we want to do is just be very strategic in how we deploy this. These are mainly all screenshots. We are going to do some live in between. Dr. Parker will help with that. And I'm going to take you first through the top menu bar, which is the connections, education map, support, and login. So the first pull down is connections. These connections are connections to Michigan entities, such as the My Data Hub. Really think of this as a one-stop shop area for you to gain access to these particular links and websites that are applicable to school entities that you will be working with across the course of your responsibilities in your designated areas. This is just a one-stop shop. Next, we have the education map. Are we not doing education map? Okay. All right. Next, we have the home page, which is a quick review. So in this review, this is I think it's a front and back snapshot of the menus. For example, main menu, support, sign in. These call outs are very helpful because they basically provide you a quick snapshot of what the detail is behind that pull down menu option. The other feature that's nice with this is if you're new and you want to share this out with different stakeholder groups, this is a great one to two page tool that will be very helpful with that process. So it's just a quick overview, and we have the link in there as well. Then looking at trending, featured, and connections. So utilizing these tabs that are available. So in this particular screenshot, to the left, we have trending now. What falls under trending now? Student enrollment, you can view a report. Staffing information, retained in grade, That's all available through Trending Now. And it really gives you that direct navigation to those particular areas if you are seeking information regarding what's happening now in the portal. Next capture that we have is featured dashboards. And with the featured dashboards, that's going to give you examples of, some of the snapshot reports, whether it's a snapshot or a trending report, reports that you have had in the past that are still available through the portal. So these are just some examples of these connections. Next, I'm going to talk about the navigation. So in a very quick version, I'm going to go through now the menus across the board, starting with dashboards and education focus areas. We'll spend a little more time later in deeper detail pulling these menus down and introducing to you landing pages and such. So across the main menu, we have dashboards and education focus areas. That is new to the portal with the redesign. We have early childhood, K-12 grade, and student subgroups, which is new, post-secondary, and workforce. And if you have an admin login, you'll see over to the right an admin login to the right of workforce. But for illustration purposes, this is what most of you will see. I want to point out in the K-12 grade, notice in the past we did have special education as a actual landing page in the main menu. We do not have that any longer. It's now included in the K-12. And I always look at that and say, special education is a service provided in K-12. So think of it that way. Next, underneath the main menu, we have personas. These are also new. Personas are for particular stakeholders. They provide a 30,000-foot view of what does it look like for an educator? What is available for an educator in the MISchoolData portal? What about parents? Parents would be a great place to visit. What about policymakers and what about media? It gives you that 30,000-foot view and a quick snapshot that you can put together and take for your various stakeholder groups. So that ends the sharing of that. All right, navigation. Next, we're going to move into, as I mentioned, those landing pages. So we have menus, landing pages, and then submenus. Number 1, number 2, and number 3 is the pull down of the submenus. So here, what you will find when you go to a landing page is first, out of the gate, what you're going to see first is most popular. What is the most popular area that is visited by the portal? We have continuously seen the parent dashboard. Secondly, to the right, you have recent updates. What's been updated recently? What new data has come into the portal? I know that for this audience, there is data coming into the portal by the end of the month for 2019-20 school year applicable to CTE, post-secondary, and workforce. So that'll be new information coming forth. Upcoming, what is on the hopper? What are we going to be seeing in the next few weeks or the next 30 days? That's where this will populate no matter what landing page you pull down. So for post-secondary purposes, we're going to now move to landing pages, starting with early childhood. Now, what you will see from the landing page, you're going to get that entire view, that snapshot that's to the right. It's going to provide you with all of the access that you will have to early childhood in detail. It's going to give you kind of a summary sheet. And then as you navigate through the submenus, you're able to go take a deeper dive into that particular area. So for example, if I wanted to look at early childhood program participation, I could click on that and then it would give me the details that I need for particular for enrollment with early childhood. Looking at a persona landing page, here we have an example of data and insights for K-12 educators. This falls under the educator landing page. What you're going to see here is some featured dashboards, financial transparency dashboard. That would be the financial condition of your school district, all financial related reports that are required under the State Aid Act. You can also look at the education dashboard reports and our schools at a glance. And what you're going to find with the redesigned portal is There are many different ways that you can get to a particular area, whether it's through the search engine or pulling down menus than you have in the past. So we're trying to give you a really nice scope and sequence here for training purposes, so that if you want to go back and if you're used to a different way to navigate, you learn the new way. It's, it's all up to you. So when we look at inquiries and about this report, one thing that you will find is when you click down, hover over about this report, it's going to give you basically what the report is about. It's going to give you a little snapshot. This is what the report is about. This is the data that it contains. It's going to show you how to use the report, and it's going to tell you about the data that's listed in the report. So first of all, one of the areas that you will need to do is when you set up your inquiry, you're going to have to obviously set your location and your report categories. That's similar to what you have done in the past. And then what will happen is once you make those selections, we call it the hamburger menu. It allows you to print or download those reports. And then you can change at the bottom. You'll see here where we have view by wages. This particular report is for wages only. You can download the report, and then you can change your button, radar button, for the selection. So you'll see that it's very streamlined and very user-friendly, and a lot of it is driven based on where you start your roadmap with what information you're trying to seek in your initial reporting. So one other area that we have migrated over, and it's called pinhole reports. So I want you to think in the past with your reporting of CTE, post-secondary, and workforce data. It was in what we call the legacy site. And what has happened is these reports, these historical reports, have been pinholed to come into the new Resign portal. So what you will find is reports that you have become accustomed to have followed into the new redesign process as we've migrated over to the new site. So keep that in mind, that those reports are still available and have come through. And then there's the education map. So the education map is again one of those areas that has been enhanced and added to the redesigned site. We have two illustrations here with the map. The first one, the overlaying one, is the great state of Michigan, and all of our wonderful school districts, 782 school districts and 56 ISDs, are populated with those little graduation caps. And you can hover over those and that will take you, you can get to that particular district there. You can also, as we've shared, you can also do a search. We have also included in here the illustration with a snapshot of Jackson Public Schools. And once you get the map of Jackson Public Schools, automatically will be populated some fast facts. And these fast facts are updated with 2019-20 data, as it shows there. It'll provide you with their student count, economically disadvantaged, students with disabilities, and then the pupil to teacher ratio. I see that's not updated yet. So it'll also provide you with the locations and share with you what ISD Jackson Public Schools is affiliated with. Next, in the support area, we have the help and support. Again, as I had mentioned, there's various ways to get to areas of the portal. You can do the search and find, help and find location. There's also links here to take you directly to dashboards and such. And we also have opportunities here for the professional development kit. And that's where we'll talk about that more later, but that's where many of our train the trainer resources will be located, as that is evolving and we are developing that. The next search feature that I want to share with you is basically you can put in any title you would like. So for example, if we put in college progression by graduating class, we click search, it'll come up with our search feature and locate. You can, as you can see to the right, there's locations there, 11 of 122. You can also look at college progression by graduating class. This is just like Google on steroids, I would say, in the MISchoolData portal. So a very nice feature. especially for newbies. Next, we're going to go to the feature for the compare tool. This particular tool has been designed to allow up to 20 locations across Michigan in a variety of topics. So in your inquiry, you can select statewide if you'd like. You can also indicate what school years you're interested in, what are those metrics that you're looking for, and maybe you're interested in some subgroups with comparisons. So once you provide that information in your inquiry process, it will provide you with up to 20 districts that are of the like with those similar characteristics. So a really nice feature with the compare tool. And then in the dashboards and education focus areas, I previously mentioned about the 30,000 foot view, but really what this is providing you with is all of the areas that are quick and, just a click away and accessible for education dashboard, district best practices, parent dashboard, Our Schools at a Glance, and recently added in November, right after the launch of the redesign, was the extended COVID-19 learning plan dashboard. So those are all just a click away. And again, they give you the 30,000 foot view. Speaking of that extended COVID-19 learning dashboard, those are updated on a monthly basis because districts are required to provide a monthly update to CEPI, and then they populate the most recent updates as districts are launching their learning plans. Next is the education focus areas. And in that particular area, if you could go back a slide, Dr. Parker, she's driving the bus here. This is where post-secondary attainment, you can look at school district and accountability very quickly. You can also get that through the K-12, college credit opportunities, and Michigan's K-12 education. So those are just some examples that we have listed for you for the presentation today. All right.
All right, so thanks, Dr. Provost. I'm going to pick up where you left off, and we are going to take it into the K-12 menu. And before we do that, I'm actually going to bring us out to the live site and pause for just a second. So when you come into the live MISchoolData site, just a reminder, you do want to be signed in. You want that MyLogin third-party account. You want to be logged in. You want to make sure that you have access to your students. And we did show you those permissions that were available out there. Whoops. Warning, Will Robinson. I think I might be logged in twice. But anyway, in the website, where we're going to end up going today is we're going to go into that K-12 section, and I'm going to dig deep into the career and technical education area. We're also going to take a look at post-secondary and workforce across this menu bar. So where we'll go is we'll share with you some screenshots. We're going to share with you how to get from those landing pages to the information that you're interested in, and then we'll take some questions at the end. So I'm going to go into K-12. So within the K-12 menu, on the left-hand side is Career and Technical Ed. In order to go into the Career Tech Ed area, you need to click on Career Technical Ed. There is a K-12 landing page that has all of the information. It's one-stop shopping for all things K-12. But for most of us, we're here for the conversation about CTE. And so a great one-stop shop to go to get all the links for CTE and all the functionality is if you come to the K-12 landing page and come down here to all these hyperlinks. So lots of different ways, like Dr. Provost said, to get to CTE stuff, but off the landing page, here are all the direct links. When you come into the landing page, each one of these are submenus, and these are direct access to the report. You'll be asked to enter some information and complete the inquiry, so it'll run that inquiry for you. So for example, if I want to run an inquiry on Career Technical Ed, usually these inquiry boxes pop up. And just like in the legacy site, you're going to fill in your location, you're going to fill in your subgroup, your year, or whatever, and find the information for your inquiry. Now, don't get scared about the missing yellow edit report button that used to be on the legacy site. It is gone. Okay. We now have a pretty blue button that we are using in the new redesigned site. Always push the update report button. always click on that button to run the inquiry. A lot of people have gotten stalled by the fact that they'll put in the information and they'll expect it to run. You have to push the blue update report button before it generates the inquiry. Just a little tip and trick about operations in the portal. So let's dig into career and technical ed. As I mentioned, we're going to go into K-12. We're going to click on career and technical ed, and you'll notice the most popular, coming soon, and recently released goes away, and we've now got a new submenu within career tech ed. Here are all the great things that we're going to be able to do in CTE with regards to what's been loaded in the portal. Awards after post-secondary, the programs that are out there, the CTE status by educational attainment, post-secondary CTE completers. We can look at wage information. We can look at connections to them after high school or from post-secondary back. We can look at medium wages based on their CTE programs, as well as this career and technical ed summary. Now, if it was me, the very first place I would take my CTE folks would be to the career and technical education summary, because that's kind of like the landing page. But what we're going to do is we're going to take you on a tour of all things CTE. So I'm going to start with the very first one on the list, and it is award after post-secondary CTE program. When you run this report, it'll give you a graphic on the top. When you hover, it'll give you some tool tips based on this is actually state data. If you want to change the inquiry, you can do that using the hamburger menu and change your inquiry settings to select your ISD, your district, and your programs. As I scroll down, I'll also be able to see a table. And like Dr. Provost mentioned, change these radar buttons if you wish, or the radial buttons from student count to percentages, and it'll change the look and feel. So this is awards after post-secondary in their CTE program. You can also look for CTE programs offered. I think this is a fabulous resource in the website, not only for a parent open house, or also just for CTE in general, finding out what are the programs that are offered based on location or based on the program in general. So for example, if I'm looking for all CTE programs in the Lansing service area, I can search by Ingham County, or I can search by district. Or if I'm looking for all the construction trades programs around the state, this is a great search feature. It's called CTE programs offered, and it's in that CTE menu. There's also an opportunity for you to find out how far beyond CTE enrollment that students went with their education. Are they enrolled? Were they in a concentrator? Did they complete their CTE program? And then when they went on, did they get a certificate or an associate's degree or a bachelor's? We're always looking at that follow-up data. We always want to see how our kids did after they left our 2-year CTE program, or whatever part of the program. We want to see what their status is after high school. You can also take a look at how many CTE students were enrolled in higher education, the enrollments. And you can take a look at these by downloading them. Actually, you can go into that hamburger menu that shows up, and this will actually give you a download. So if you were looking for some fancy report to share with your stakeholders, this is the place to go. It's got a great PDF export functionality. And you'll see that obviously this looks a lot like the others. They all have a graphic report. They have these tool tips. Here is your hamburger menu and also the table. And if you scroll down even further, you'll be able to see that download feature. The next report functionality in the CTE menu is all about wages by educational attainment. We know that the more education you have, in most cases, means the higher wages you're going to earn. This is proof in the pudding, and this is often used by some of our high school counselors as well as some of our career counselors trying to encourage students to get more education in their career technical ed program. You're able to look at the annual wages based on how far they went from no high school diploma, all the way up to a master's or higher degree. It is in a graphic format again. And for this one, you'll actually have an additional inquiry here that you can drop down and look for a different year of the reports. The next area to run reports in the CTE menu is all about post-secondary career technical ed awards by their CTE high school status. So I want to know how many CTE students went out to earn a CTE award at the post-secondary level. So this, again, another way to look at our career technical ed enrollments and their awards. And don't forget about the radial buttons and the hamburger, as well as the tooltips or the About This report. When you're trying to encourage students to seek out a certain program or to review the programs, a lot of them are interested in how much money will I make? And so this is a great opportunity for you to generate median annual wages based on their high school CTE status. This will give you the facts based on what the enrollments were. So you'll be able to take a look at annual wages based on if they were either enrolled in the program or they completed the program, or if they were high school diploma, associate's, bachelor's, or master's degree. So this is a very exciting report, especially for our career counselors that are trying to share, doing a deeper dive on CTE enrollments. And notice here, we have additional functionality at the top. Not only can we change the year, but we can also change the service area or the program name. So lots of additional inquiry options at the top of this report that are available. Now, this is the Career and Technical Education Summary page. It is at the bottom of the list for CTE in the CTE menu, but it really is a fabulous resource or compendium of all things CTE that we use in our CTE role. Here is the one-stop shopping to do that search for CTE programs, again, by a geographic area or by program. You can also get right into CTES. You can look at some of the CTES reports. There are also some additional CTE information on students, special populations, etc. So a ton of hyperlinks that take us to some of the common places we go in CTE. You'll also notice down at the bottom on this summary page that there are direct links to the inquiries that I just shared with you. So this is this is more like a landing page. This is the Career Tech Ed summary page. It's like a landing page for CTE. It would be a great first place for you to take your staff, your CTE staff or your counselors, etc. So if I were to come into Career Tech Ed, that is the last one here on the list. And I will open that in a new tab. And here we are. With all those links, you can search those programs. You can search the CTES information as well as the hyperlinks. All righty. So I know that there may be questions if you guys want to use the chat box to go ahead and add those questions there. But in the interest of time, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to show you some additional inquiries in K-12 that might be of interest to you. And as the questions roll in, I know Dr. Provost will be happy to interrupt me. So just because we're Career Tech Ed folks, that doesn't mean we're not interested in other things in the portal. And there's a lot of other information out there that might inform what we do in CTE. We might want to look at student counts or the assessment scores of the students in our program. We might have students that are English language learners that that have taken the WIDA. We maybe need some data there. We may also need to look at the special education data portraits. For example, of the students that we have, which ones are on the autism spectrum. There are some post-secondary reports by high school, which we did see some that were specifically to CTE, but you may want to dig deeper. And then lastly, there's an opportunity for you to download some files. So just because we wear the CTE hat doesn't mean that these other menus aren't going to be helpful and provide us some really good information to inform our career technical ed practice. The student, I'm going to give you just a quick run through. In the student menu, you'll notice that we've got retentions and graduation dropout rate, mobility, etc. I've just given you some screenshots of what are some additional things you could do in state testing or in ELL. Here's the English Learner dashboard where you can get some assessment or student growth for those students. You can also look at the data portraits in special education. Look at our post-secondary reports, etc. So that is the K-12 menu and all things CTE as well as CTE connections for the hat that you all wear. So I'm going to shift gears and I'm going to talk a little bit more about filtering down to certain subgroups. We have basically looked at the K-12 overview spectrum that includes all things K-12. However, we might want to be looking at some certain demographic subgroups that a little more closely. For example, you may be looking at students that are homeless or your foster care population of your CTE enrollments. There are some certain subgroups that are more popular in the portal that CEPI has actually added now to the top bar menu so that it's one-stop shopping and very quick to get to. So if you're a career counselor or a counselor in general or interested in as a dean of students, you want to dig deeper into the certain subgroups, the subgroup menu actually allows you to do that. I can dig right into military, migrant students, foster care, English learners, etc., simply by using the subgroup menu. It eliminates a lot of digging and inquiry. This will just take you automatically to the population that you're interested in. I know one in general that has been that has really been popular with this group is the early middle college. And so these subgroups, you can get into the subgroup menu and run inquiries for just this population. So with that said, before I leave there, I'm going to just mention we've left K-12. Here are the student subgroups that I just mentioned. So we've left K-12 and here's the student subgroups and all the different subgroups if you are interested in going to those subgroups to run those inquiry reports. All right. Next place, post-secondary. Where are students going after they leave us? Career and college readiness, what does it look like? If you are possibly working at the community college and you want to look at the high school students that are coming to you, this is a great place to come, the post-secondary. Or if you're a high school counselor and you are interested in what the post-secondary looks like, you are also able to come to this post-secondary menu. The post-secondary landing page has the one-stop shopping, again, has all the hyperlinks. You'll notice that this side is all about if you wear the college and university hat, and this side is looking at higher education from the high school perspective. So they've done a really nice job with the landing page to kind of look at what does it look like after high school from either as a college person or as a high school person. The post-secondary reports by college and university, as you click on that, notice we've got a brand new set of options that all the popular trends are gone and we've got new features, new ways for us to run these reports. Maybe you're looking at students that transferred or students that were successful. For me, when students leave my high school business program and they go off to a university, did they have to take English 101 over again? Or did they not pass the math competency test and they have to take math 055? So there's lots of questions and answers here in post-secondary. Another piece that may be interesting for us as high school folks is what's it going to cost for our students to go on to post-secondary? We can look at the tuition and fees and you can share with your high school class, here's what it's going to cost to go to Eastern Michigan or to Western or to a public or private or even out of state or a trade or technical school. So the post-secondary reports by college and university is extremely helpful when you're trying to help your high school kids make decisions about what they're going to do next. The college degrees and certificates awarded, these get updated on a regular basis. The screenshot that I've shared with you shows 18-19 data, which And all of our opinion is a little out of date, but it does give you a baseline of information to share back with students. You'll also be able to look at the technical notes and the field notes with regard to each of those degrees or certificates. Here's a snapshot report, an example of what it looks like for all colleges statewide. For example, the number of undergraduate certificates, associate degrees, bachelor's degrees, graduate certificates, master's degrees, and doctoral degrees in our state 2018, 2019. And this is really kind of a great screenshot for a career in college day presentation to kind of get students thinking about, hey, the more education I have and the different educational entities I get or different programs that I go into. So a lot of great information on the snapshot report for all colleges statewide. If you are navigating around the portal, you're going to see that this is similar no matter where you go. You're always going to have these inquiry boxes. You're always going to have the blue report, update report button. But remember, this little caret up here in the top right-hand corner will sometimes collapse. So make sure that that caret is down so that you've got your location report settings drop down. And this is just an example of college transfers. There's also an example of college undergraduate enrollment, and then the post-secondary data inventory, which lots and lots of great information, lots of great resources here on post-secondary. This one actually speaks to the success rates, and you can navigate through each of the 3 tabs, from the summary to the specific report to actually being able to download the data files if you have the correct permissions. And I'll just move through some of these examples to kind of get us to the question and answer period here. All right. So if there are any questions about post-secondary, I'm just going to kind of quickly click through, and I'm going to turn it back to Rhonda, who's going to take us into the workforce piece.
All right, Jen, there's a question in the chat related to access. It seems like a few people on the webinar today are having difficulty with accessing their own ISD, drilling down to the, they're able to see the CTE statewide data as any, I don't even think you need a login to do that, but they're unable to drill down to their county by clicking on the hamburger. So do you have any suggestions? I gave them the permission roles. They verified that they have the proper permissions.
And I know Christy's on the call, but I could take that on a side note and try and dig in deeper to see why they're not seeing or what they're seeing, what specifically they're seeing. So if you want to go into workforce, I will go ahead and try and jump on the chat and see where I can go with that.
Okay, perfect. All right. All right, everyone, we're going to round out with workforce. That is the last main menu item on the portal. We're going to start with the landing page. And again, the landing page basically gives you a description of all the reports that are available and data that's available within the workforce menu. So we're going to take a little bit of deeper dive. We're going to move into now the entry-level wages over time. So what we've done here is we've provided you with a snapshot of reports. And this particular report really shows the trend of the median annual wages that are earned for students 1 year after completing their various education levels. The report also shows the number of employed completers whose wages are being summarized. So this is where you will find that information. And as a former CTE teacher, I will not date myself, but I remember the ISD coming to my local classroom and providing me with reports based on information from students as they exited and graduated and went into the workforce. So to know that this is just a click away with proper permissions and access is just amazing. So next we're going to move into the next submenu titled Median Annual Wages by Education Attainment. So what level this report, the snapshot report, basically shares with us the median annual wages that students 1 to 5 years out have completed based on their highest level of education. These employed completers, their wages are summarized here. And again, this is statewide data. It's not to a particular location, but it's over the, state of Michigan. Notice that we did talk also at the beginning of, I mentioned at the beginning of the webinar today, that CTE data, the post-secondary data, is on the horizon. That data is anticipated to be released by CEPI later this month. So you will see more current data that's been populated. And pay attention to the CEPI announcements and the talking points, because we provide those announcements there as well. All right, so we're going to move now to the next sub-menu. And that menu is median annual wages by field of study. It's always interesting to know what wages are being earned by basics studies that students have engaged in. And so we're looking here for what post-secondary certificates have been earned based on 1 and 5 years of earning their certificated programs. So that's where you will find this data. And again, this is statewide. And then our final sub-menu in workforce is the median annual wages by educational attainment and high school CTE status. So now we're making a connection with reports that are showing the median annual income and the employment numbers for different groups of students 1 year after completing their highest level of education. And these students are grouped by the highest level of education, and then each group is further broken down based on their high school career and CTE experience. So these are just, again, some snapshots statewide, but very relevant information, especially if you were drilling this down and looking at it from a program implementation at your local level or based on your ISD Tech Center.
And folks, maybe noticing that you can get to these reports here in the CTE menu and vice versa. A lot of these reports you're finding in multiple places to kind of get you to the same place.
And then you can use our scope and sequence webinar if you need a really nice training guide for future presentations with your various audiences. And that's what we try to do with our webinars.
So I'm going to bring us back to the main MISchoolData site. Notice that I'm not logged in. A reminder that the dashboard and education focus areas, if you come to that dashboard and education focus homepage or landing page, this is one-stop shopping for all things about a district or about an organization, from the COVID-19 dashboard to the Our Schools at a Glance. All these general overviews of a district or an organization are found in the dashboard and education focus areas. We went to K-12, we looked at career and technical ed. Notice I have to click on that little arrow to have my CTE submenu pop up. And any of these inquiries, I can go in, run the inquiry, and it'll pop up. We also looked at subgroups if we were interested in just a specific subgroup, such as homeless or migrant, that you come here. Here are post-secondary connections. And again, the landing page, you got to click on it, or you got to click on the little arrow to bring you to the submenus. And then lastly, here was workforce. Again, don't forget to click on it to bring you to the inquiry. Now, the last place I'll bring you to is here in the persona section. We've looked at menus pretty deeply. If you are obviously an educator, if you click on the educator persona, Dr. Provost mentioned this briefly, but this is kind of like your personalized homepage as an educator, or your personalized homepage as a parent or a policymaker or media. These are the most popular inquiries or links that CEPI felt you were using in the MISchoolData portal, and they put it here on your own personalized homepage as an educator. So some of the common things that you might run are You want to look at the financial transparency dashboard of your district, or you want to see salary or educator effectiveness or et cetera, or you want to find out who the legislators are or who the superintendent is. These are all some one-stop shopping, common, popular inquiries that are linked on the educator persona page. And here is that map feature. Now I'm going to go one more place before I turn it over to Q&A. And I'm going to look at the CTE programs offered, because I want to give a shout out to Shannon Williams from Macomb Intermediate School District, who actually served on our committee that did review of this a couple of years ago. This has been in development for quite a hot second. If you are looking for career technical education programs in a service area, here you can look by location or you can look by program. I'm going to go live into search by location. And I want to just see and notice that they are sorted here alphabetically. I could just use my search box here and just look for a building or a district, or I could just generically search. But I'm going to go ahead and look at automotive technician at Adelaide Stevenson High School. And you're able to go into this program and see where it's located. They've also got the map feature that'll take you there, as well as the CTE director that you would contact if you wanted your child to enroll in that program. So right now I'm looking at all programs. I'm going to let me look at agriculture. Who all has agriculture in the state? So that is the program search under CTE programs offered. You can search by program location or by program. All righty, I'm going to bring us back.
One other area, Jen, if you could pull down, is the post-secondary. With some of these logins, they might want to confirm that they have, if they don't have the post-secondary student data file access under the college data files, obviously you're not logged in, Jen, but they would need that to be able to access this data.
Yes, you have to have a login.
I mean, we talked about that in the earlier slide, but just to point that out.
Yes, so post-secondary, the student data file.
Yeah, on the public side, they will not see that because that's drilling down to student data.
Right. And that really is a great data set. It allows you to see how the students are doing after they left your high school marketing program and they went off to Ferris State. How did they do in their marketing classes, etc. So I'll bring us back here and I will just pause and ask if there are any questions. And if there are none, I will turn it over to Rhonda to go into our closing.
All right, there's the same question regarding able to see the statewide data, but not able to drill down to ISD or district level.
And I cannot answer that question.
Okay.
So Jen, could you go in and show us how you do it? So in the CTE reports, when you went into even just the awards, the first one, the awards report, and you said to click on the stack of, I call it stack of pancakes, the hamburger.
The hamburger, okay.
Drill down. I don't think any of us are able to do that.
Take me back, take me back to where?
Click on K-12,
Okay,
and then get CTE, and then even the awards, or any of those reports in there. And then once that comes up, you mentioned to click on this hamburger to be able to, oh, yeah, see, we can't drill down to our own county there. And I thought that's where you said to do that.
No, not all of them are going to be able to get you to the county. Like Rhonda mentioned, they're doing a massive data load. And so this is what we've got right now for statewide data.
Okay, so none of them we can drill down to our county then, correct?
Not all of them, no. And I know that
I misunderstood. All right.
and I may have misspoken.
And then what about for the very last report you said, the K through 12 school data files?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where it was.
K-12 school data files. Mm-hmm.
Oh, nope, not that one. Sorry. Oh, post-secondary student data files.
Okay.
How do we get so I have the high school by high school file, but I don't have the by college file. How do you get that one to show up?
We have to turn on permissions for you. You have to be given authorization to see that.
Okay, so can I turn it on for our users?
With authorization, yes.
Okay, so do we put a ticket in with CEPI to have that turned on?
Let me bring that back.
Because is it turned on for anybody? Tina Tribute, thank you, Christy.
She's gonna give you the power?
Or maybe check on it?
I'm checking on it, but I've been checking on several others too. And
Yeah,
it may be something
thanks.
that we have to take up with SEPI because I've been madly putting private chats, sorry, on a sideline
Okay.
with folks that needed help. So anyway, let me look at yours, Trina, and I'll get back to you.
Okay, and I'm not sure if that's a issue for everybody that's in the same.
Yeah, I think Tara.
Tara Kalpinski, okay.
Yeah,
she
I can
asked the
get to
question.
the data file by high school, but I can't get to the college one either. So
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think Anna McCrum can't either, and Stephanie Brown.
Yeah, it's a permission issue with.
It's a permission. We just
Because
gotta make sure you guys
You
got
have to
the right
think
one.
about the entity is not a K-12. The entity is
Right.
post-secondary.
So you're not working for Macomb Community College, so technically you wouldn't need the student data file. You would only need to see it for the students that you had in your high school. You would not need to see all of Macomb Community College data.
Right.
So you really don't need access to this. So we really wouldn't turn it on for you.
Okay, I misunderstood that. I thought you said we could go into that college university report to see how our kids did in financial literacy their second year in college.
You can.
Mediation,
So you can do that by grabbing your high school file. It will show you the post-secondary connections. You're looking at I wasn't clear on that. Thanks for bringing that back to me. Let me explain it better. Let me do a better job. So you are looking at your students based on the ones that you had as high school enrollees in your program. You're going to look at them, who went to Central, who went to Ferris, who went to Eastern. Whereas if you were a post-secondary person, if I had a Macomb Community College person on the call today, the way they would be viewing the students that they have are all the students that they have at Macomb Community College and the sending high schools that sent them. So it's it is depending on the hat that you wear, the access that you have to the students. Because I'm a administrator on the system, I see both and I can demonstrate for you both. Is that a better job of explaining, Tina?
Yes, that helps. Yep.
Okay.
That makes sense. I'll play around with it too later this evening. Yep.
And you would have access to everybody that you have contact with because you are a K-12 person. You will see your high school folks. And I know several of you that are on the call today are technical administrators at an ISD, whereas we also have on the call today local district folks that do not administer accounts. So we're getting lots of questions and we appreciate that. Keep them coming.
All right. Great clarifying questions.
Yes.
We'll bring it home. All right, we're gonna close today's presentation. We hope that we covered all of our learning objectives that were stated at the beginning of the session. I think this was very helpful. This was our first round as well in the new redesigned platform. Just know that there's a number of ways to get to various areas of the portal. And this will be a good guide for you as you move forward with your stakeholder groups. Again, please feel free to follow up with any additional training or needs that you have in your region. Your regions are designated here for contact information, and they are part of the Train the Trainer network as well. And they will provide any service or follow-up that you may need as a regional advisory member. We'd also like to remind you of the professional development opportunities as we talked about at the beginning of today's webinar. The professional development toolkit is evolving. I would anticipate in the next 30 days, you're going to see a whole new look and links to resources that are available. We also encourage you, our webinar series is continuing until May this year. We anticipate that we will also have some summer sessions available. So these links are readily available in the slide here. And we also do a monthly publication. Our most recent January publication went out last week. So stay tuned. And I know that in the upcoming releases, we had the CTE post-secondary information populated there because that's in the hopper with CEPI. Again, here's the links to the webinar sessions, and we also have the entire series. Today's session will be recorded, and you will be provided with a follow-up from our administrative assistant, Angie Cheerio at Macomb ISD. If you are interested in earning sketchies for today's session, there's a unique session attendance link in the slide. If you could click on that, go through the spreadsheet, fill out those areas, and then at the last cell, there is an opportunity for you to please download a copy of the Sketchy application form and then complete it and email it to our administrative assistant at Macomb ISD, Angie Cheerio. For more information or follow-up to today's webinar, resources again are going to be available on our professional development toolkit. If you have any questions, technical questions can be referred to CEPI at michigan.gov. For My Login third party, please visit the My Login help page link. For logins, follow up with your technical contact at your agency, your ISD. And if you have Train the Trainer network questions, please contact Dr. Jennifer Parker or Kathleen Miller. And on behalf of our professional development ISD partner team, we thank you for attending today's session. You were very insightful, and we hope to see you at future sessions that we're holding between now and the end of the year. Have a great day, everyone, and stay safe.